Thanks for joining us for another episode on the Dockhouse podcast. Today we're joined by a radio legend. He likes his boxing, he likes his cooking, but he loves his greatest hits. Is right, Rossie la. It's my mate Simon Ross.
Hello.
Boy, he's beat us already, isn't he? There was such a growl in that. Like, I'm gonna try and. I'm gonna try and stretch my bollocks. I need to get lower.
I love the sound of these microphones.
And then,
They're really, really clear.
yeah,
They're really clear.
7, you can't go wrong.
Oh, wrong way.
Completely vocal orientated.
Do you know what? Before we start,
Yep.
Rossie, I need some advice.
Okay.
So today I'm having a bit of a weakling day, and I'm a bit feel sick, and
Yeah.
I feel like I'm gonna spew everywhere. Does that ever happen to you when you're going into work and you're just not feeling it that day? And you're
Recently, I don't get sick, so when the very rare occasion that I do, I don't take it very well. But to be honest, there's so much to do when you're doing a radio show, especially a breakfast show. You go in and you feel like crap, and then the show starts at 6, and then suddenly it's 10 o'clock, and you've forgotten about it. And then you go, oh, I feel like crap again.
Yeah.
So it's one of those. You sail through it because you got to.
yeah,
You know?
I've
So
got to.
basically, suck it up,
Yeah,
and you feel fine.
enthusiasm. Come on,
Yeah, you.
Simon Rossie is right, Rossie la.
Daniel La.
What's weird is
Hey, Rossie,
right, you've got your own catchphrase that you don't actually say.
Well, this is it. Yeah, I don't know. It's
You've got a catchphrase that people say to you.
I used to, when I did the breakfast show on Radio City, I used to have a lad come on called Mick, but I used to call him Bert the Pensioner, and he used to speak a line of a song, a lyric line, and then you had to guess it. But when you're hearing it spoken out
It's
of context,
different.
it's totally different.
Totally different.
But he used to, is right, Rossie la. Mick Shields' his name was. And it caught on. So a lot of celebrities, when they used to come, the producer used to get them to say, hi, this is the Fonz, is right, Rossie la, and stuff like that. And we built up quite a collection of
You've
it.
actually had the Fonz phone, innit?
Yeah, he did. It's a
You
really,
said that like so normal, like it's a normal thing.
I got to know him when he was over here doing Panto about 8 years ago, maybe a bit longer. And we hung out quite a bit, so we recorded an hour's worth of radio together. He's never forgotten it, by the way. Anytime he works with anyone from Liverpool, he always asks after me. He's never, which shocks me because the amount of people that he's met over the years,
Rossie left a good impression.
Hey, wow, I think he enjoyed
impression.
himself. I think he enjoyed himself.
Right, Rossie lad.
That's fantastic. It really is. But before radio, I've just been like doing my research and stuff.
Yeah. Oh dear.
Chef by trade.
Chef by trade, qualified. Did my training in my hometown of Armagh, then a couple of years in Belfast. 2 brilliant years I had there, and then I went down to Waterford, worked in a fabulous seafood restaurant, then on to Kerry, back home for a while, then London, and then Australia. So I cooked from 84 to 91 until I got into the old wireless radio business.
You still got that love and passion for food. You still do the cooking.
I do the cooking. It's a funny thing. I make a joke of it because I've been with my missus for 6 years. She's never, ever, ever once cooked me a meal. Not one. Not one. Not a sandwich. Nothing. Nothing.
He's a keeper.
So, she doesn't know she's born with me, I tell you what. The funny thing is my alarm goes off at 4 and I snooze till about 10 past. And when I'm getting out of bed, I will either tell her what I'm going to do for dinner, or she'll say, can we have crispy chicken and corn fritters, one of her favourites with the chili gravy, or something like that, but not a spag ball, a chili con carne, whatever it is. She fires it, I'll cook it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What's your favourite? What's your speciality?
I really like spicy food. I do a lot of Indian cooking, and I challenge any of my Indian friends to come on and have a cook-off for me, and I normally beat them.
Oh, nice.
Yes.
Nice.
What's your favourite dish? What's your favourite Indian dish?
My favourite Indian dish is a really slow cooked out sort of lamb madras with extra coriander and chili, tandoori roti, taka dal, and maybe a little bit of Bombay aloo.
I'm guessing you've been to Mowgli then.
Yeah,
I've been to
innit?
Mowgli a couple of
Mowgli's the
times.
one.
I've been to Mowgli a couple of times. In fact, I went to the opening night of the one on Castle Street. It was a really, really nice experience there.
Yeah, I remember that getting built.
Really, really nice.
There's two now in the city centre, aren't there?
Yeah.
One on Bold
One on
Street.
Bold Street and then one up on Castle.
Could probably open another 2 or 3, and they'd still be full on most nights.
Wouldn't surprise me, man. Great food.
I could eat that kind of food for breakfast, lunch, and dinner.
Really?
Yeah, really, really could.
Why have I got in my head something about Mowgli. We were talking about it earlier, wasn't we?
I mentioned it. You said the Jungle Book.
Anthony.
Yeah.
Anthony was
lunch
telling
earlier.
us a story. The woman that started the business,
Nisha Kitona.
was she?
She's a barrister, yeah.
A barrister.
Yeah.
And she just.
Yeah, she's an amazing. I did a book launch with her
Yeah, the book's amazing.
a couple of years ago, yeah. And very, very well read, obviously woman, but wow, what a fantastic lady she is. Energy. When I remember one time going to meet her for a coffee, and we started talking about food, which really is a big passion for me. And I swear to God, 3 hours later, we were still sitting in the same seats, chatting spices, chatting this, chatting techniques, chatting favorite dishes.
I 5 minutes and that's all the spices I know.
It's the spices and blending them, etc., and marrying
Extra
stuff
hot,
together.
medium, and not so spicy.
Get on some
Conversation
more
done.
He only knows the Nando ones.
Nando's, yeah.
Yeah. Lemon and herb.
Yeah.
medium hot or that's about it.
I like to go for hot, but then you know the black bottle that you get at the in the Nando's with the red writing on it. That's the extra hot. I like to hot the sort of coating, the marinade, but then top it with that extra hot.
You need the extra kick.
Put that in my rice with some vinegar as well. It works wonders.
See, if we knew this, we should have done a chili challenge.
I'm just thinking of that podcast when they have the chicken wings lined up.
Yeah.
You could have had these wings and it's spicy.
There's the wings roulette, isn't there? There's the wings roulette, but then there's the suicide wings in another great place called Hickory's. I don't know if you've ever been to Hickory's.
Chester.
Yeah, there's one in Chester.
Yeah, I've tried those.
I tried it. I remember doing a breakfast show from there when I was working on Radio City, and so they brought a tray down to me. So I said to my producer, right, we all got to do one. They were in tears. So I was going, crikey, they must be really hot. I demolished them. I demolished a dozen.
No runny nose.
Nothing. No.
Watering eyes.
Damn,
No.
proper hard case, me.
It's usually the giveaway. You can sit there and swallow all you like. As soon as your eyes start running, people know, oh, it's been hit by the spice.
Yeah, I do like it. And people go, oh, man, you can't taste it. Well, yes, I really can. I don't put it on there to act big. I've just developed that palate over the years, you know.
So, how did you go from... Bye. People waving. Bye.
They're going to get a Nando's.
Yeah, you've made them hungry now.
Cheeky
Mowgli.
Nando's.
Super spicy.
Yes.
Make mine extra hot.
I love that. Cheeky. It is a cheeky. No one goes for a Nando's. It's always a cheeky Nando's.
Cheeky Nando's.
Or a
I've
cheeky
never felt
pint.
cheeky though.
I don't know why they say cheeky. Like, you shouldn't be there. Why should you be in?
Yeah.
Shouldn't be here. It's cheeky. Nando's.
I can get the cheeky pint. When you say you're going to do the
Cheeky
lottery,
pint.
and then you go for a cheeky
You
pint.
still owe me a pint.
I do owe you a pint of Guinness. I do.
It's almost been a year and he still owes me a pint of Guinness.
Why do you owe him a pint? What's he?
Because when he boxed 144 rounds, I ended up doing 10, I think, in total. And getting towards the end, I could see the difference. He was getting tired, obviously. And I says, come on, I'll get you a pint next Friday. Come on, let's go. I'll get you. I know you don't drink that much, but I'll get you a pint. You and me, a pint of Guinness. And just towards the end, he goes, I'm at a wedding next Friday. I says, well, buy yourself a pint. I'll owe you one. I'll still owe you one.
So how did you go from chefing, that's your profession, to then all of a sudden...
Well, when I was training to be a chef, I was growing up in this, it's a city, but it's really a town called Armagh. And I was a trendy little bugger. I was into my leather jeans and leather trousers and Duran. It was the very early 80s.
I've seen the pictures.
I've seen a few of the pictures. And this guy had a roadshow called the Silver Bullet Roadshow. And he asked, do you like the sound of that?
I like the sound
Silver
of that.
Bullet
I like
Roadshow.
the Silver Bullet.
And he asked me to do, could you fancy doing a bit of DJing? So you're 15, 16-year-old kid. Of course you're going to do a bit of DJing. I hadn't a clue how to work. So the next night, he threw me in and I did a disco in a cricket club, it was. And I was rubbish. I mean, rubbish with the capital R. But it was near Christmas. Most people were drunk. They didn't really notice. And I carried on and got a few more. Used to go out with him and roadie for him and watch him and listen to him. And then eventually, so I was doing that and doing my training. And then I got into catering full time and chefing. And while you're doing your prep in the morning, the radio was always on. Used to listen to people like Simon Bates, and you guys are probably too young to remember Bates. He was the guy that used to do the sad story at 11 o'clock in the morning, Our Tune, and they used to do. He was a good broadcaster, and I thought, I really want to do this. I really want to do this. So I got into hospital radio while I was still cooking, and I did demo after demo and rejection after rejection. I went to Australia, did a little bit out there, and while I was cooking around, and I came back, and I'd picked up quite a bit of experience with hanging out with DJs and radio presenters in Australia, and I learnt a lot, and I'd sort of got in my head where I wanted to be. And so shortly after I came back from Australia, I sent off some demos, and boom, I landed a couple of jobs. Actually, with one demo, I got three job offers. So
how would you demo? So you were doing a demo for the broadcast position.
I would record a bit of my hospital radio show, and then I would chop out the best links. So you'd chop out most of the music, so the top and tails.
That's it. Yes.
And you'd go through like an hour, saying you'd pick 4 or 5 of your best links and edit them, so down to like a 5-minute tape, show reel if you like, and you'd fire them off. Spent a bloody fortune on cassettes that weren't cheap. So
it's a worthy investment though, isn't it?
Yeah, obviously, thankfully it paid off, you know. So
wow. And then it's landed you in a almost 30-year career now. Yeah,
do you know something? I'll be 30 years in radio next April.
Wow.
Which, you know, it was before we started recording. You mentioned, I'm thinking, nearly 30 years. That can't be right. It can't be. Actually, it is. It is right. So 1991, I got my first paid gig doing radio HMV. Down in
just like is it just I'm not the only one who just feels like something when he does it.
So down in Oxford Circus, and I was doing Radio Top Shop at the time as well, and then I was doing I worked like ridiculous weekend night shifts in a station in Ipswich called Radio Orwell, which has had a few name changes since. And I just I cut my teeth, and I worked hard, and I stuck at it, and persevered. And I was doing a lot of shifts, just trying to get as much experience as possible. But you know, it was good. It was fun as well.
Because you've become a radio legend. Everyone knows your voice.
I'm not sure about that. But
what got you into that? Was it like your love for music, or you just ridiculously cool voice?
It's so funny. I always love music, and I've got this ridiculous memory recall for dates and months and years, etc., up until about 2010, and then I sort of lost interest. You know, the current music is not really where I can listen to Ed Sheeran if that's considered current. So there was that, and my voice broke when I was really, really, really young. So I've really sounded like more or less like this since I was about 12 or 13. So
that would be a good.
Hey, Mom, can I have milk, please?
That would be a very good indicator.
I remember working in a restaurant in London. I worked there from the January of '86. So there was me and another chef, great guy, Pat Bedminster, his name was, and he used to get me to phone through all the orders. So I'd speak to all the suppliers, but never meet them because they'd be dropping off at 5 in.m. We used to get in about 7:30. And it was Christmas time, and a few of the suppliers came round to the kitchen to drop off a bottle of whiskey, a bottle of this, or, you know. So they'd come into the kitchen and they go, well, where's Rossie? And I'm standing there and says, well, it's me. And I was 18 at the time, maybe 19, just turned 19. And they were going, you're the guy that I speak to every day. We were expecting a really old, fat guy. You know, it's in fact this really old sort of guy that had sort of lived life to the maximum, as in his late 50s, and here I was like 19 years of age.
This voice that people are just
Who's your favourite voice?
Oh, there's so many. There's so many great voices.
Big question.
I'll go along with Simon Bates because he really sort of influenced me to get into radio, and he had a great radio voice.
Morgan Freeman for me.
Morgan Freeman's got a brilliant speaking voice, yeah.
But we're talking like radio presenters or singers or
just
actors.
Any voice that you could just lay there and say, tell me a story.
In the radio context,
I'm Morgan Freeman.
It would definitely be Chris Tarrant. Coming
Chris
through,
Tarrant. I used to
yeah.
work with Chris Tarrant. I did
Wow.
the early breakfast show on 95.8.
95.8. Boom, boom. So coming from, and you worked in London yourself, didn't you?
Yeah, I
So
worked in Capital. Yeah,
so-
I did the early breakfast.
as we all know, radio's just generally wherever you're going to be, whatever region, that's what you're going to listen to. Do you know what I mean? Especially through the 90s when you've got far less selection. And Chris Tarrant was the main one, and that 95.8 always just Capital FM would always ring in the back of my mind. And that,
I used to love the way they tweaked it at summer, and they called it 95 point great in the sunshine. Yeah. No, that was my voice. That was another voiceover artist.
I know, but that's you won't have heard these radio stations. These are the obviously ones down south, but 95.8.
They're all kind of network now, but
Yeah.
but the main one is Greatest Hits Radio. I mean, the breakfast show guy there. Oh, sorry, I was being totally immodest.
I know Alex A here. His name's Alex A.
No, it's Shaun, but we can't say Alex A.
So
That's one
when we
word.
need to find out something,
Yeah.
if we're stuck on something, we go, Alex A, tell us.
Are you an encyclopedia as well?
Yeah.
You want an
Yeah,
encyclopedia?
that's what it is.
Your voice was Michael Sheen.
Mine, yeah, my new one's Michael Sheen. I'd say someone like Lee Pace as well,
Mm.
but that's like a very American sort of take on it. But Michael Sheen at the moment, brilliant. He did the new story based off of War of the Worlds for
Yeah.
Amazon Audible. Absolutely fantastic. Love it.
He's an American guy, yeah.
No, he's British.
All right.
Michael Sheen, he done
Michael Sheen.
Damned United, I think.
Oh, Michael Shaun.
Yeah,
You know
yeah.
what? He did Kenneth. He's done quite a few. He's done that Damned United, and he did Kenneth Williams, didn't he? Didn't he play Kenneth Williams? I'm pretty sure.
I don't know about that
Alex
one.
A.
You can find out.
I've just got on to that Alex A.
You got it now.
I'm being
That's
a bit
our
slow
version right
here.
there.
Yeah.
So, whilst we're on the subject,
Yeah.
we wanted you
Yeah.
to judge me and Tosin on who's got the best radio presenter voice.
Let's do that.
So yeah, it was Michael Sheen. Just
Yeah.
to interrupt.
Yeah.
It was Michael Sheen.
Mr. Sheen.
He was
Yeah.
fantastic in that. Yeah.
Yeah, brilliant voice.
Tosin, you go first.
So how are we doing? Do I have my notes?
Age
Can I get my
before
notes? Can I grab my
beauty.
notes? Can I grab my notes? Is that all right?
Yeah.
You're not going to ad lib.
You know, I will just ad lib it because it is about the spontaneity and just being able to just go out there. Anyway, so the topic in discussion is going to be this vast alkaline water. We're going to use this as a demo.
Okay.
And I'm going to go from my normal accent because I don't feel like trying to sound like a old school, Americanized.
See, I'm
Radio.
gonna be an actor on mine.
Well, you are an actor, so lovey.
And a mighty good one.
Good afternoon, and thank you for listening to the Dockhouse podcast today. Our special guest, Mr. Ross, is hydrating himself with the vast alkaline water. We are talking about purified, ionized, and electronically charged alkaline. They say that water and electricity does not mix. It may be a metaphorical myth. So hydrate yourself with vast alkaline water. And on to, I'm not going to say Duran Duran, I want to put Jimi Hendrix on. And boom, Hendrix will start playing over in the background.
That was pretty good, wasn't it?
It's completely.
That
That wasn't how the script was supposed to go.
You didn't need a script. You really didn't need a
Yeah,
script.
yeah, rock and roll, man.
Ready?
All right then, Daniel.
Don't panic now.
Ow now, brown cow. Good morning, campers. We are live at the Dockhouse FM, and today's show is proudly brought to you by Vast Alkaline Water. Unrivaled H2O. Hydrate, detoxify, alkalize, recover. Sit back, relax, and enjoy the soothing silk sound of Mr. Simon Rossi's sexy voice. Coming up is Hungry Like the Wolf by Duran Duran. So come on, who won? Who won?
Well, you see, you both did it slightly differently. So you did disc jockey, and you did a great commercial voiceover there. So I'm just going to call it a draw. What about that for diplomacy?
Come on,
Yeah,
let's
nice.
leave it to the professional.
That's
Come
all I
on,
hear.
give us something. Give us something.
What would you like me to do?
Anything.
You can pretty much say anything and I'm going to listen.
Here we are, what a Tuesday night, Dockhouse FM, and coming up a little bit later, our good time rock and roll from Neil Young. Keep on rocking in a free world. We're going to get that on for you very soon. But next, traffic and travel with Daniel Lewis.
Brilliant.
Blows it out the park. Blows it out the park.
Amazing, amazing. Favorite songs?
Favorite songs, God, that's really tough.
Too much to choose from.
I mean, I really got into a lot of Australian bands, and there's a band called Cold Chisel, and the lead singer is Jimmy Barnes, who went to see in Glasgow last year, and they've done some great songs. There's a song called Flame Trees, which is a firm favorite in our house. That's my wife, who's 44, my daughter, who's 13. We'll all love a lot of their songs, but that's so. But I can't really say that because no one knows it unless you Google it.
I can't lie, I don't know.
Unless you get Alex A to
Alex
it's a good song. But I'm going to go for like stuff that that was released in massive here. Big fan of ELO. So Last Train to London for me stands apart from all the other songs. I don't know why. I can't explain it, but they've released so many great songs. But that's definitely got to be in there in my top 3. If I was going to pick a female artist, it would be Blondie and Dreamin'. It's not one of her obvious, but Dreamin', another great song. It just gets me, right at it. And probably something kicking back to my teenage years when I was strutting around in my leather jeans and I had long hair with streaks in the front of it.
Sugar daddy.
Yeah, baby. I was Armand's answer to John Taylor from Duran Duran. I'd probably go for something like Rio or Hungry Like the Wolf or something like that.
Hey, cool, yeah,
I called that.
Yeah, you called
Before
that
you came
earlier.
in, I was like, Hungry Like the Wolf.
Yeah.
That's why it was in the script.
Mine's Smile.
By
The
the
is it Louis Armstrong?
no,
it wasn't.
smiles 'cause you did it.
Smile, close your arms.
It wasn't Perry Como. It wasn't. No, it was Louis Armstrong, but
Smile.
Yeah.
Who was it from?
Google it now.
You googling that?
I know it. I know it. It's on the tip of my tongue.
Oh yeah.
Give us a clue. Give us a clue.
Ah.
Give us a clue. It wasn't Perry Como, no.
Nat.
Nah,
Nat King Cole.
There you
Really?
go.
Was it?
Do you know who wrote it though?
Wow.
Who wrote it?
One of my heroes, Charlie Chaplin.
Oh, yes, he did.
Yeah,
I remember
Amazing.
hearing that before.
Yeah.
That's what came up first.
So
Charlie
Chaplin.
Yeah.
Nat King Cole did the cover then later on.
Mm.
Didn't know that at all. I thought he was the original. Wow.
Yeah.
My favourite Nat King Cole's got to be Nature Boy.
Nature Boy. That was covered by a band called Central Line in '83, and there was a really good version.
Wow.
Really good pop version, solely pop version. Yeah, quite bordering almost on that level 42 sound, that bass and that Central Line. But yeah, Nat King Cole's version of that's great.
Hard to translate something like that with that sort of jazz and sort of classical fusion in there to bring it to a pop nature. But people can do it. Merge the genres and make something new with it. But yeah, Nat King Cole, amazing artist.
I remember seeing Natalie Cole's daughter at the Royal Albert Hall doing a duet with her dad who'd long passed, and she was singing to him in a video, and he was singing back to her, and she blew him a kiss, and he blew her a kiss back. It was the way the video was constructed was like, wow. It was, please, can I rewind this and watch it again? It was so
That's
good.
crazy.
It was crazy, yeah.
They're doing a lot of that now, though, with the holograms.
The holograms, yeah.
Whitney Houston's doing a tour at the minute.
She was say performing, but her hologram was there last week at the arena, which we'll continue to call the Echo because I can.
I know.
I still call it that.
Yeah, the Echo.
What's it now? Marks and Sparks, yeah.
M&S.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Still just the Echo.
Well, I just call it the Echo.
I couldn't get any shopping in there. I was lost.
It's not just any old arena; it's an M&S arena.
They done a hologram with Tupac as well, didn't they, years ago?
The
Yeah.
hologram thing is
Was that Coachella? That they did it.
yeah, they've been doing it for a few years. If you really want to think about it, I mean, you can go back to the Gorillas, and the Gorillas
Oh yeah.
a massive, obviously, but they were really blowing when they did stuff like
Clint Eastwood, no.
yeah, he was involved with that. Yeah, INC.
That's the name of the song. Yeah.
INC, yeah.
No,
but
Clint
my
Eastwood.
point. Oh, is that the name of the song?
He's just an encyclopedia of music.
Anyway, but my
It's
point
crazy.
is, if you look
Alex
at
A told
someone,
me.
if you look at someone like the Gorillas, they were having the holograms from back then, and that whole notion of it's this mystery, you don't know who they are. They've just got their own holograms, and you go to the concert, and it will be these holograms, and this was like
That's
12,
right. I'd
12
forgotten about
years ago,
that.
15
Yeah,
years
I'd
ago,
forgotten
yeah.
about that because Damon Albarn was sort of one of the main vocalists. And
Yeah.
Shaun Ryder did a little bit as
Yep.
well, didn't he?
Yep.
And it was, if you went, it was like a hologram or animated because they were animated in their videos.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you know the first band to do that was It was the band that brought us Sugar, the Archies.
Oh, yeah.
Oh wow.
See, in 1969, they were number one, and they were an animated band.
Wow.
So, yeah.
It's crazy. But it's only sometimes when things get brought to a mainstream sort of angle, or just more people start to jump on the bandwagon. Oh, these holograms are doing this, that, and we've seen a Biggie and a Tupac and all the deceased great artists. You can kind of, not, I wouldn't say see them in the flesh. For me, it's all about like, if they're gone, you're gone. You're never gonna get. I don't care who you are. You're never gonna get a hologram or someone back there in a green screen room with that suit on dancing. Like, it's never gonna convey the same thing. I'd rather just be like, you can never see Hendrix. I can never see Bonham drum live. I can never see Marley. Do you know what I mean?
If you could bring someone back tonight for one gig only, who would it be?
Gig, you know who that would be.
Yeah,
you know
Hendrix.
It's got to be.
No,
Has to be.
really?
Yeah.
MJ.
Yeah.
Oh, MJ.
MJ definitely, like, in terms of when you start talking like legendary musicians, like you said, we'll be here till Christmas trying to ring them off, innit? But it could be Marley, it could be MJ, it could be Elvis, etc., etc. But in terms of what's influenced me mostly, in terms of what I'm most passionate about in life, and being a guitarist and a singer-songwriter, it'd have to be someone like that. So I think Hendrix come back and wow, yeah.
When you hear the opening beat of Billie Jean, I beg your pardon, when you hear that, I mean, can you imagine him and Quincy Jones sitting down when they'd finished recording Billie Jean and listening back to it completed? What must that have been like? Could they have imagined what that song would be worldwide?
Yeah.
It's just that opening beat. You go, it never ceases to have the same effect on me. Wow.
Because it's absolutely timeless. It's absolutely timeless. The funny thing is, the way I look at it is that when they were actually doing that or composing it or whatever they were doing at the time, they would have probably come out there and just been like, well, but it's a good song, but they probably wouldn't have.
No, MJ was a perfectionist.
The way, but what I'm saying is,
to them,
them coming out and being like, like we might, I might record a song and I'd run out there full of energy. Like, oh my God, I think I've got something special. To these guys on this sort of legendary status, they're just probably.
This is quite good. Maybe a single.
Maybe it'll be it. And to the rest of the world, it's like a Billie Jean or do you know what I mean? Some
MJ
of the greatest
was just
songs.
like, yeah.
So yeah, could be pretty incredible. There's a good Quincy documentary on Netflix. You might have seen it already. But
I don't have Netflix.
Okay, well,
I'm rubbish.
I'm sure you can get. It's called Quincy. So I'm sure Netflix.
Is it just all radio with you?
No, it's not that. I've not updated my Skybox because I'm really lazy. So
you just haven't paid the bills.
I paid the bills, and they've actually said that they'd come and give me is it the Q box or whatever? What's it called?
The new one, yeah.
I don't use it. I don't use Sky. I use Netflix.
All right. So and I need to upgrade my television as well.
Yeah.
Digital TV.
Well, when you get a chance, I'm sure Netflix probably isn't the only outlet out there, but it was definitely on Netflix quite quick. But an insight into like Quincy, and it's like real life documentary. It's not like someone's acting in him.
Yeah.
It's him and just talking just through the generations of the roster of legends that he's been within, his studio production, and just it's unbelievable. It's unbelievable.
For me, Michael Jackson, by the way, and that album Thriller is just second to none. But you know what I really love? Off the Wall.
Yeah.
I really, really
His
love
first
it.
solo album.
Yeah,
Yes,
and
yeah, so
it's just oh.
In Off the Wall, there's still a massive element of the dance.
Yeah.
So the disco sound. You know what I mean? So that's very. It just makes you want to move. Just makes you want to party.
You're living off the wall.
Brilliant. That's it was a great era. That really fabulous. Those sort of late 70s, early 80s, up to 83, 84.
Yeah.
Great. The Thriller album I used to play it over and over and over. PYT, Pretty Young Thing. I know I was dating a girl in the summer of 1984, and then Farewell, My Summer Love was released just in the week she was going off to study in France, do something for 4 or 5 weeks.
Like every song speaks to you almost, isn't it? It is very much down to what you're listening to, what's going on in your life at that time. My favourite MJ album would be Bad, like straight away.
Yeah.
But then I think that's 87, so that makes that's again, I would have been too young at that stage. I'm just being born, do you know what I mean? But certainly that sort of era, that a lot of that will carry on into the 90s. And
because he played that famous tour, didn't he, in 1988? So he played Aintree, Wembley. I had 2 tickets for that.
MJ's been to Liverpool?
Are you serious? Yeah, it was a famous gig, supported by Kim Wilde.
88.
Yeah.
And for me, that was the best MJ. I mean, in terms of the execution and he's a grown man by then. He's about 30 by 88. But for me, that's like prime time MJ. If I see MJ 88 at Wembley or something like that, I just think it's perfection. It's just you go and watch him do Billie Jean in Wembley 88 and I can't.
Wow.
Goose pimples. What else is there
Wow.
to say?
Realise
To MJ.
we chill and we just watch MJ. Like that's actually what we're doing.
We
Is
did actually watch some serious tunes, you know.
It's,
the Budapest live at Budapest. Wow.
Music's timeless.
Do you know I've got a bad MJ tattoo?
have you really?
Like, seriously.
Where?
You've got
On
to
my
pull it out
side.
now.
Have you really? Are
Like,
you a big
genuinely.
MJ fan as well?
Genuinely.
All right.
It has a really, really bad MJ tattoo.
I think you should show
Yeah.
me.
Can I see it?
You got to now. You can't
Okay.
not put it out.
Yeah, you're gonna
One
show it
for
now.
the Dockhouse.
Here
I've
we
heard about
go.
this. I've heard about it. I've not seen it yet. So this is news for us all.
I know it's Michael Jackson. That's the way you make me feel.
I reckon it's
outfit.
Smooth Criminal. That
Smooth
looks
Criminal.
familiar,
Yeah,
yeah.
sorry,
That's
Smooth
what I
Criminal.
reckon.
That's it.
Yeah.
No, the way you make me feel. He was wearing the blue shirt.
That's it. And he's out in the street and he's
and he's
seducing
chasing after the
woman.
girl. Yeah.
The white suit.
Wow.
That was the was it
Smooth.
Dick? What was the name of the guy that he was imitating with the look? I've forgotten it. Is it Dick Cheney, something like that?
Hmm?
Or am I completely
No, you're not.
Dick Cheney and
I know what you mean.
Dick Tracy.
Dick Tracy?
Dick
That's
Tracy.
the one.
Dick
The
Cheney's
other
a
ones
politician, I think.
yeah, an American politician. Yeah.
MJ just imitating world peace.
Yeah, the story behind that, I'm not going to tell the full story because it's inappropriate, but it was a drunken mistake and
Okay.
he just passed away. It came up on the telly and stuff, and I was like, oh no, I love him, he's my hero. There was a tattoo kit in the back bedroom, and I said, stick him on me.
Gee whiz.
I wake up, sober up, and I've gone, why have I got MJ on my side? And why is it a really bad, like, stenciled MJ? And then I've tried to cover it up with, I don't even know why I picked the Roman Colosseum. I thought, yeah, that'll cover it. And I've just done the roof, and I didn't get the rest finished. So it's like the Colosseum roof under it is just a bad MJ stencil.
Can you not get that sort of sexied up a little bit? I mean, do you know what I mean? Like, could you not get that?
But as time goes on, the tattoo's going to be more expensive because I'm getting bigger. It's going to take more ink.
Oh dear.
Crazy.
But what I was going to say was, because I want to talk about the boxing,
Yeah.
because it's on chef, radio presenter, and then boxing. It's crazy.
Well, do you know, my dad wanted me to box when I was a kid, and I was a real wimp. I swam and I set records, and I think some of them still stand, I think. But that was my sport, swimming. I like basketball. We played a game at home, which is a bit like squash, called handball, in a bigger alley. It's a bigger ball, and you play with your hand and your fist. But I was too much of a wimp, and I got into boxing sort of towards the mid-'80s. I sort of think there was the Marvin Hagler, Sugar Ray Leonard, that sort of era really
Fab
got me
Four.
into it. The Fab Four, Roberto Duran and Tommy the Hitman Hearn's my favorite. And then along comes a guy called Mr. Mike Tyson, and that was just I think Mike Tyson got a lot of very casual fans of boxing into becoming real fans of boxing,
game
because
changer.
it was like everybody knew who Mike Tyson was. You know, he was probably one of the most famous. And he was only 19 or 20, you know,
Yeah.
so, you know, at the time. And that was a really, really good era. And there was a good load of Mexicans and South Americans in the lighter weight divisions. And I found myself getting really engrossed in this. I got my MC's license from the Border Control in 98. And that's when I moved to London. So any work that I got offered, I was working on the radio. So that was my bread and butter. So I couldn't take that. And I'd sort of forgotten about it a bit. So I renewed my license last year.
Yeah.
And guess what? I've had 3 offers. In fact, one today. Paul Smith Jr. phoned me up and he said,
Yeah?
could you... And I'm in Glasgow this weekend with my wife and my father-in-law. And I couldn't cancel it. I couldn't cancel it.
Ooh,
And,
what's the fight? You can't say, can you?
It's the Rotunda. It's like a dinner party.
Oh, yeah.
You know, it's an amateur.
Ace.
Yeah. So, and then you asked me to do one just shortly after I got my license, and I couldn't do it because I can't do white collars.
Oh yeah.
So, so I've got to get my first professional bout as an MC done and dusted, and get my foot on the ladder there, because I really want to do it.
Have you got a catchphrase?
Yes.
Yes.
Ladies and gentlemen, the talk's been talked. It is now time to walk the walk. Introducing first, fighting out of the blue corner.
Man, he's ready, like ready, like properly ready.
I recently went to Croke Park
Yeah,
in Dublin.
yeah, been there a few times.
It was amazing. I was blown away. We got a private tour I took me a world record belt.
Yeah.
And they were telling me about the sport, the handball. That's their like national sport.
Yeah, yeah.
And it was great. It was really interesting. And he said that you two had played here and things like that. So the obvious question for me, being a boxing fan, I said, "Was there any boxing here?" And they said, "Oh, it was only in 1972." I said, "Oh, who's that?" Muhammad Ali.
Muhammad Ali, yeah.
I was blown away.
Yeah.
Holy grail.
Now, a funny story, right? So, obviously, you've been to Croke Park. On the far left, on the main stand, there's a big tunnel. The guy said that's officially called the Muhammad Ali Tunnel. He said that's where Muhammad Ali done his ring walk, and he said, "This is my tunnel now." It was the first time he'd been there. He said, "I want a plaque. This is my tunnel."
Wow.
So years later, he's come back for the Paralympics, like late 90s, early 2000s. And he said, "I want to come out my tunnel." And he said, "No, all the celebrities and people passing on the torch and whatever is coming out of that tunnel." Okay. All the media there set up, ready. Where's Ali?
He's
come out of that tunnel on the back of a golf cart.
You can't tell Ali what to do. If I want to come out of that tunnel, I'm coming out of that tunnel.
He can do what he wants. He can do what he wants.
Do you know that was a time I was too young really to remember. I was about 5 in 72, but I can remember years afterwards. Wow, Muhammad Ali has walked on my land, on the land of Ireland. You know, it was a big thing, and it must have been really. If you were a teenager in your 20s or 30s, that would have been, you know,
it's epic.
It would have been, without being blasphemous, it would have been like the Pope coming, who came in 79.
More important than the Pope.
God has walked these.
Graced the land.
So,
amazing.
I have a little fun thing I wanted to do.
Oh yeah,
right. You got a 4-man boxing tournament,
right?
Okay, so a bit like prize fighter or something.
Yeah.
4-man boxing tournament, using only singers, past and present. Who you got and why?
Right. Past and present.
What singers would you think would make decent boxers?
Well, I can tell you, Kenny Thomas did a bit of boxing. Billy Joel did a bit of boxing. Chris Isaac, who brought us Wicked Games and Blue Hotel, did a bit of boxing. So there's 3.
Okay.
Who will I put in as the 4th? Mark Allman from Soft Cell.
Yeah.
No, I'm joking. Who would I put in? So who would really fit the part? I tell you who would be a big bruiser of a geezer in his younger day. And I met him once. He's about 6'4", if not a little bit taller. Fish from Marillion. He's a big lump of a Scottish lad.
Marillion. Nice. Good pick.
So, yeah, he. I think he might not have the skills or the slickness, but he'd certainly have the power. Yeah. I do remember meeting him and thinking, crikey, you are huge. You are huge. So, yeah, so Kenny Thomas, he as I say, he'd be lighter. Billy Joel, I think, probably would be in the heavyweight division now.
Yeah.
He's and Chris Isaac is still in good nick. So there's the 4 boxers.
What about you?
I'm going to go down the rock route. I'm going to go someone like Zach Wilde.
Yeah, nice.
Yeah, beast. You know what I mean? Because we're thinking about boxing, someone needs to be a bit of a unit, do you know what I mean? Someone like Zach Wilde, guitarist from Black Label Society, Ozzy Osbourne's guitarist back in the 70s, in and around that era. Then I'm going to go Kerry King. I'm just trying to find all the beasts from Slayer. Again, the guitarist from Slayer. He'd scare you. Do you know what I mean? He'd scare you. I'm going to say, I don't know, an unassuming one maybe. I don't know, who could be slender and sleek and, I don't know. Maybe Marley moved pretty well, you'd never know. He was good at football, I know that. He was very good at football. Not sure if that translates to boxing.
He was a man of peace though, wasn't he?
Yeah, so maybe not an aggressive one, but it's got to be, I think maybe one of the, just for our generation, British rock, one of the Gallaghers, just for the attitude.
I think Liam would be the guy.
And it wouldn't even matter if it didn't translate to good boxing skill. Just the attitude. I'll jump in there and see what happens.
Yeah, I think he could have. He could have it.
Yeah, I reckon he could. have it. Yeah. So Zach Wilde, Kerry King.
This is my game. I haven't even picked anyone.
I
don't know music that well. Do you know what? I'd pick Prince.
to box.
He'd be slick.
Yeah.
Oh, he
Yeah,
would
but
be
he
slick.
might, I don't know, he might scratch you or I don't know.
Apparently, he was a good basketball player.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
See, I knew that.
Charlie Murphy's story about him playing basketball against them in his, with his suit on, and absolutely destroyed all of them. And
He'd
they
be
were
slick.
Yeah,
absolutely
with his own
funny
little
story.
Feet. He'd be sliding. He'd
He would be, yeah.
slipping.
Then we throw MJ in there. He just lean out the way.
He would
Every time you go to throw that hook,
he
you just
could,
go.
yeah, definitely, yeah.
No chance. Hey,
I'd
back
say
in.
Johnny Cash.
Oh,
he was
yeah.
a bad man.
He could brawl, yeah, he could brawl, yeah.
I'd say
I'm
Johnny
going to
Cash.
throw out my fourth as someone, Big Bill Brunsey. We're talking old school 1950s deep South blues. Someone who's been through a hard time to say the least, and yeah, someone that
Kind of nearly stole mine then.
What, Big Bill?
No,
you
no,
want to
no.
say Big Bill?
Howlin' Wolf.
Oh, so you want? There you go. There you go. So there,
The Howlin' Wolf.
I think those guys, any of those old school blues guys, would be able to just yeah.
And my
sure they'd have
fourth
to-
would be 50 Cent because I've seen him on the bag and he's
Oh, yeah.
okay.
Oh, yeah,
Right
of
on the
course,
back.
yeah. I bet
Yeah.
he could have it. He could
Mm.
he could move around a ring.
So I reckon, yeah, that'd be cool.
I think my 4-man
You know.
beats yours.
Do you reckon?
Yeah.
If you
Actually,
say 50 Cent,
Prince, we've got... Yeah, 50's going to have to pull his weight a bit to cover Prince.
I'm going to go well contemporary. I'm going to throw out, I know we've gone past 4, but I'm going to throw out Bugsy Malone. Bugsy Malone was going to be a pro. He was going to be a pro fighter before he got into grime and went down the music route, which obviously has made an incredible success of. But yeah, so I think musical artists, we could see it all.
You've been in the ring, haven't you?
I have. I've been in with you.
So were you there on that day at the event? And on a
Yeah,
couple
I
of
am
you
seated.
said?
I am seated a good bit of it, I think.
Yeah.
And then what had happened was, right, I'd done 4 rounds. And then it was emceeing, so as all the boxes were coming in and all the rest of it. And we got there about 9 a.m. So I was with my wife and my daughter, and we'd just come back from holidays. I had a lovely tan in that boxing ring.
You did?
I was just back from Crete or somewhere. And
You're always on holiday?
only 3 times a year.
Somewhere you've forgotten where you actually went. You must have a few little getaways. And it's Crete or somewhere. It might have been.
No,
it might have been Barbados.
I nearly said Cyprus as Crete. It was Crete. But anyway, so we finished 4 rounds, and I was emceeing, and got to about 5:30. I thought, look, I'm going to have a bit of a break. Somebody else can do the MC, and I'm going for something to eat. Sunday afternoon, the sun was shining. It went something to eat, couple of pints, couple more pints, glass of wine, something to eat. Back we go. I said, I'll do a bit more MCing. So there seemed to be a shortage of sparring opponents for a period of time. So suddenly, with a belly full of booze and food, I find myself getting into the boxing ring and doing another 6 rounds.
So you were tipsy as when you actually got in the ring.
Sobered up when I seen him facing me, even though he'd done like about 85 rounds at the time. I was all right.
It was good fun.
It was good. It was good.
Really good fun.
It was a really, really good experience. It was one of those days when I walked away and I went, wow, have I just witnessed that, you know? It was a good turnout. The pros and the ex-pros as well. It was lovely to see Derry coming and stepping in for the first round with you. Sam Maxwell, who's got a fight coming up, is a great lad, very much respected. And it was funny, Sam said something that made what before you'd achieved it even more daunting. He goes, do you know, when I was driving here today and I was thinking about this, he said, if I was just to shadow box even for 100 rounds, I don't think I could do it.
Exhausted.
I don't think he says, I'm a pro. I've trained to go 12 professional rounds, championship rounds. And he said, I was thinking about trying to do 100 shadow boxing. I said, I couldn't. But you did 143, 144.
The old fat kid from the block.
Managed
10 hours. That's nothing. Don't worry about it. No, but you've actually been in and competed properly, haven't you?
Yeah, I did a few of the charity bouts. I did one for No More Knives, and I did 4, I think, for our charity Cash for Kids. It was good. First fight is weird. It's 3 2-minute rounds. So you said to somebody 3 2 minutes. It doesn't sound like anything, but because I'd never boxed and I'm not really that aggressive. In fact, I'm not at all. When I got to do my ring walk, by the time I got to the ring, I had nothing left because the nerves had sapped every single bit of me. I went because I'd sparred and I'd done all the training, done everything right. So I knew what it was like to get to the last 40 seconds of the third round, that you were gassing a bit because you tense up, you forget to breathe. That was one thing I was really horrendous at. the paramedic after my first round and my first fight said, "If you don't breathe, I'm going to pull you out." I'm going, "What are you talking about?" It's Chaz who overlooked yours. I go, "What do you mean?" He says, "You're not breathing," and I wasn't. But you don't know you're not doing it because you tense up, and it looks easy on the telly. It's really hard, really, really hard.
Different ball game.
So you retired?
I'm not allowed to box again because my wife Emma said, "Absolutely no way, Pedro." The last time I was allowed to do anything in the boxing ring was with you, and that was because of the event that you were doing and the record you were breaking.
She pulled me to one side and said, "You hate him, I'm going to kill you." And the look in her eye, I was like, "Okay."
Serious.
So that's it. I'd love to do just one more, but she just has put her foot down with a firm hand.
Yeah.
As they say. So.
Stick to the radio.
Yeah.
Smash you. How do you think, come sort of back to the radio, obviously with us doing this, and we're enjoying this,
yeah.
We're wanting to continue doing it, and like, how is radio sort of now to where it was 10, 20 years ago?
Well, you'll remember the 1979 song by Buggles, "Video Killed the Radio Star." So videos no longer exist. I don't know anybody who's got a video. Radio's still going strong. There's more networking and less local, but there's more varied radio stations. There's more selection. Digital radio stations. Your FMs. I mean, we don't even have a radio in our house, so I either listen via my phone or via my Alex A. So that we don't have a wireless radio transmitter in our house. So we tend to listen through that. I think radio's as strong as ever. I think it's more competitive now. There's less jobs, a lot less jobs.
Is there really?
Oh my God, there's an awful. In the 90s, I could have probably walked out of a job on Friday and into a new one Monday. There was loads of jobs going, and people kept moving and from radio station to radio station. So there's not as many jobs, but radio's still very popular. It's really popular medium.
It's very reassuring to hear as like an independent artist trying to distribute music. Obviously, we know the impact of the internet and social media and stuff like that. So it's like from the DJ's perspective, again, how is it? Are you still reaching the same sort of the same sort of numbers? Because there's so much we won't go to radio, we're going to Spotify, or there's so many different mediums for the angle of consumerism. How has that changed in the time that you've been?
Yeah, I think people still like radio in the morning. I think they like the voice. They like to hear somebody chatting with them, to them, not at them. I think there's something more personal, one-to-one, and I think sometimes at home I'll put Alexa on and just ask her to play a selection of tunes from the 70s or 80s.
That's his girlfriend.
Yeah.
Alex and Alexa, happy makeup.
Obviously there's a lot more competition. So you got to be more on the ball than you've ever had. Every link, every time you open the mic, it's got to be bang on. And my boss is quite. I'm not going to say he's tough. He's not. But let me. If I was to waffle a little bit and not really put the effort and be economic with words and stuff like that, he'd be very quick to point it out, So there's that, and that's not bad. That'll keep you on your toes. So, but the radio industry, I still love it. It has changed dramatically. I still love it. So, and we just had our ratings a couple of weeks ago, and thankfully we did really well.
Yeah, I remember you saying when you come to see me on the door, you said you'd done really well with the.
Yeah, and so was I midweek having a bottle of wine when I get up at 4 o'clock in the morning. So
it's quite reassuring that to hear that it is still so valuable in terms of that outlet of musical distribution. You know what I mean? So it doesn't have to. Not everyone's going to fall into that. Oh, we're on YouTube or we're just swiping, etc. Obviously, that's a massive part of it, but. The fact that people are still listening and
it's always you talk to a listener, you don't talk to your listeners. It's a one-to-one medium.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? I also think that radio is more transparent than television many times. If you try to be false, it'll show.
It's crazy. Even though on TV is the one where they be seeing your facial expressions and everything you're doing, but they can hear.
They can hear it. Yeah. I think it's more detectable. Maybe it's just me.
Bullshit detectors strong, man. They can.
Here's to another 30 years.
30 years. Oh my giddy aunt. I'll be 83.
So, your phone rings now.
Yeah.
you answer it,
Mm-hmm.
and it's your dream job. Rossi, we want you, right? It's either an announcer job, a voiceover, or presenter. What would it be?
Do you know what? I'm going to be really sad here and say the job that I've got at the minute is like a dream job. It's a national radio breakfast show. I mean, playing 70s, 80s, and 90s. So, you know, it really is. It's a paid hobby. And I shouldn't, and if my big bosses hear that, they'll be saying, well, you've got no negotiations when it comes to your next contract if I get one. But it is a paid hobby. I mean, this... Yeah, sure. You know what? I'd love to stand in a boxing ring in Madison Square Gardens, more than Las Vegas, more than anywhere else,
style.
and introduce a world title fight. I mean, that would be
Anthony
a
Joshua.
dream job. Introducing first
Tyson Fury.
Yeah.
You've walked the walk, now it's time to talk the talk.
Let's get it on. that would be just way out there. Way out there.
Cherry on the cake.
That would be. I mean, and that would be the venue as well.
Yeah, of course.
Madison, what do you say, Madison Square?
Yeah, that would be. More so than Vegas. I know Vegas is glamorous and everything else. And
Never tickled me fancy Vegas for some reason.
I did a week in Vegas. There was me and 5 lads went in the early noughties. If I was to do that week again, I'd be dead. No, I really would. I would be brown bread.
Can no longer stomach it.
No. Oh, God, if I'm up after midnight, I get a nosebleed. It's like, no, we go out early now, me and my wife, and we have a couple of drinks and a bite to eat. Maybe go home, watch a bit of crap telly.
Yeah.
She'll have a gin and tonic. I'll have a white wine spritzer, because that's how butch and macho I am these days. And then off to Betty Bobo's. But doing breakfast, it sort of takes it out. If you come 9 o'clock, say on a Friday night, I'm like this.
Not good. If you're waking up at 4 a.m., you're going to have to be exhausted by the end of the day.
I try and grab a little hour during the day when I can. You know?
A little power nap when you can.
I do that. Didn't get a chance to do it today.
No.
So if I start dozing off, gents, you know.
Right, well, you're impressed with me by not spewing it and...
Yeah,
I
because
think
I
you held it
came
together
in,
pretty
poor
well.
Daniel, when I spoke to you before, actually, you sounded a little bit like I just did that.
I was lying on the couch in there.
I thought...
And you
I thought
called, I
he's
was like,
either
hello.
tired,
Wrapped up.
Oh, dear.
Couple of trips to the loo.
You know what?
I was just really excited to see you.
he was that excited, and with anticipation, he felt sick upon my arrival.
he was that ecstatic. He just took the knock. But no, seriously energetic and enthusiastic, and just opens our eyes to the music industry, which is still so strong. So
Yeah.
you know what I mean? If all DJs are as enthusiastic as itself, and just must be, like you said, a dream job.
It is a dream job. And if you listen to Tony Blackburn, who's well into his 70s now, and when he's introducing a song that he's probably introduced 1,000 times, he introduces it with the same passion as he probably did back in the 60s when it first came out. And that's inspirational, you know.
Yeah, because it stands the test of time.
So
Stands the test of time.
I reckon, rather than me and you closing the show...
Silent.
It wasn't silent. It was unsilent. Shit, it wasn't.
Amateurs.
Most professional that we can.
It's my wife, and it's a stupid ringtone goes,
Emma.
danger. It's
High
your wife
voltage.
calling. You may hang up.
Right.
Sorry
Rossie,
about that, gents.
Not at all. Don't
will
worry
you
about it.
do us the honour of closing this fantastic
Dockhouse
episode?
podcast before.
Yeah, well, listen, thank you very much for inviting me along to the Dockhouse podcast. It's been an absolute pleasure. It's been great banter, and hopefully somewhere down the line we can get together and do another one, because I'd love to come along again and chat about something else that's happened in the next couple of months or next year and a half or whatever. There's always a story to be told. And no better man to tell a story than the Irishman. Thank you very much.
Fantastic.
Amazing. Thank you.
Thank you
Thank you very
very
much.
much. Cheers.